Trudie Mason sitting in for Aaron Rand today and tomorrow, and we welcome to CJAD the mayor of Pointe-Claire, here to share some sad news with us. This is Mayor Tim Thomas joining us to telling us about the passing of one of his predecessors in the role. Tim Thomas, good afternoon.
Hi, Trudie. How are you?
Tell us, I am fine. Tell us about William McMurchie, Bill McMurchie, as many of us knew him.
Well, Bill McMurchie was a defining figure in Pointe-Claire politics. I think he was our longest-serving, or shared the mantle of longest-serving mayor. And he had a defining mark on the city, and he was a jovial, kind, and a very elegant man. There's a lot to be appreciated about Mr. Bill McMurchie.
Did your paths politically cross over at the time when he was still active in politics?
Well, I was coming from the Privy Council office. I was a political analyst at the time when I moved to Pointe-Claire, and he knew who I was when I moved into the city. I met him. I'll never forget meeting him on the front steps of City Hall as I was getting my plans for my house approved, my renovation approved, and we chatted, and we got along, and we started great right off the bat. He's jovial. He's a very kind, warm man. And we built a friendship right off the bat that lasted for decades.
Served as city councillor from 1990 to 1998, was elected mayor 1998, served to 2001. Borough mayor 2001 to 2005. That's, of course, due to the municipal mergers with the city of Montreal. And then demerger, and he was mayor of Pointe-Claire again 2005 to 2013. So as you say, one of the longest serving elected officials on the West Island of Montreal. Legacy-wise, how will Bill McMurchie be remembered, do you think, Tim Thomas?
Well, I think his defining moment, or the moment where he was at his very best, was the demerger. He was the leader of the forces to demerge. He stepped up and sort of was the defining. He was the leading person in that whole process, and really established himself as a strong, forceful, passionate leader. And a lot of others followed from him, and he's left that mark to this day. I mean, even in our recent fight over fluoride and stuff, I have a legacy to live up to, standing up to the city of Montreal, if and when we get pushed around. And that legacy is Bill McMurchie, stand for Pointe-Claire and make sure we look after Pointe-Claire. And he certainly did that superbly.
It does seem to me, I'm just, remembering my time as a reporter and on talk shows back then, that he was not an overly polarizing figure. I don't think I ever met anyone who absolutely detested the politics of Bill McMurchie.
No, not many. There were, like any mayor, there were a few. I've known a few. But Bill was he carried on. He would speak his mind, and he would do it with grace and elegance, and that was the way it was going to be. And either you fell in or you didn't agree with him, but he wasn't one to get in anything combative. It was just, that was the end of it, and he was very skilled at that, actually. He was very good at communicating his messaging, and that was the way it was going to be. And I'm quite envious. I'm not implying that, people who have come since then have been polarizing, of course. I just remember him as maybe it was because there was so much support for his stand on demergers against Absolutely. The original merger, and then through the demerger process that, it galvanized that community. Absolutely. And everybody's a follow. His council, everybody was 100% on board, as was pretty much the city of Pointe-Claire. And still is. I mean, that sentiment is still alive and well in the minds of the citizens of Pointe-Claire, especially the ones that were living through that era.
Now, we understand that the city has already decided to have the flags at half staff at City
Correct.
Hall in his honor. Are there any discussion yet about other honors, something named for him, for example?
Ironically, Judy, when I first got elected, Bill was still around. He's in District 1. He's my neighbor. And we have the park at the corner of Cartier and Lakeshore, and I thought it would be really nice as an opening gesture as mayor to name that park after him, because he was a councillor in District 1 as well. And I went and visited Bill. He said, well, Absolutely. I'd love that if it's unanimous. If it's not unanimous, no, please don't do it. So it wasn't completely unanimous, but now in hindsight, maybe that issue could be resurrected because that park still goes unnamed. And he was a district in that area, he was the councillor in this district. And I think it would be appropriate. I'd have to see if others agree, but that's one of my thoughts on the matter.
And is that the park that has the ice rink in it now?
You got it.
It's kind of behind Wild Willie's?
That's the one.
Okay.
It's currently the loose term for it is Place Cartier, but I like the sound of Parkville McMurchie a little better, but that remains to be seen.
And when you talk about the legacy that you have to live up to, do you think about his leadership sometimes on other, you mentioned the fluoridation fight with the city of Montreal in particular, but
Yep.
and any other ways of his doing politics that resonate with you now that you're in his shoes?
Well, I love the way he ran a meeting. He had a stronger hand in some ways, and there's lots to be learned by the way he ran meetings. I thoroughly enjoyed the way he ran meetings. Some people didn't, but I have the utmost respect for how he conducted himself in city council. So
was he let's get down to business type of guy, or was he known let's work this out, let's have lengthy discussions type of guy?
No, he was down to business. Lengthy discussions were not huge in Phil's world. He was great though. I mean, I got a kick out of it. He wasn't rude. He got to where he had to go very quickly.
Yeah, I can understand why that's attractive if you're a politician and you're in a lot of meetings. Yeah, you learn to appreciate people who can move the agenda along here.
Absolutely. He was a master.
Suivant next.
Yep.
Does Bill McMurchie still have family in Pointe-Claire?
No, that's a very good question. I don't think so. I know he's got daughters in Toronto, one in the U.S. His son's somewhere in Canada, in the Maritimes, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. I did meet. He came back and saw me about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, with a daughter from Toronto, which is I think why he was in Toronto. Okay. But I don't think so in Pointe-Claire. I don't believe there's any family left in Pointe-Claire.
I do hope, though, that they have fond memories of Pointe-Claire and appreciate that having a nice park named after their dad would be a nice honor.
Oh, I'm sure they would. I mean, they love Pointe-Claire. The McMurchies were here forever, and he lived in a beautiful area of the city in District 1, and his neighbors loved him, and his family grew up. I mean, they had a great period here. I have no doubt that they would love that idea. I have no doubt at all.
Tim Thomas, thanks very much for sharing your thoughts about the passing of Bill McMurchie. My
pleasure, Trudie. He was a wonderful man, and it's a privilege to do so.
That means that, the politics on the West Island, Anglo politics, demerger politics, we really have lost someone who led the charge on our behalf.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.